Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Jason White. This is Jason's Weird Reads, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my 2024 reading and channel plans. And I don't think this video will be too long, but who knows? Once I get, sometimes I get going and I can't just can't stop talking. So, first off, I want to do a little bit of a review of 2023. Now, from 2020, maybe even 2019 to 2022, those were all horrible years for me, to be quite honest. They were, the whole world was going through quite the difficult time, and I was involved in that. But thankfully, the job that I had, I was able to work through it. It was at the factory, but we are considered essential services, and so I didn't lose any money in that regards, where a lot of people suffered more financially than I did. But it was still like a mental struggle for various reasons. And one of those reasons was because in 2021 I decided to stop taking my antidepressant medication, and because I thought I didn't need them anymore. And let me tell you, that was a big mistake. It was a big lesson, and I'm back on them now, and I haven't felt better. I'm on a different type of SSRIs than I was the first time around, so I'm finding that they do a lot better than the other ones, and I'm more than happy now than you still go through like the roads of life. You're not happy all the time, but it's just a lot better. I've talked about this quite a bit, and I don't really want to go too much into it here, because this isn't what this video is about. But if you're on, I do want to mention that if you're on antidepressants and you're thinking of going off them, be very careful. You might be right, maybe you don't need them anymore, but be very careful. Pay very close attention to yourself and stay close to your doctor. Maybe start a journal and try to see if there's any serious negative patterns, or at least thinking that's returning. Can't stress that enough, because you need to take care of your mental health. All right, so as I was leading into here, 2023 was a much better year for me. One of the things that was keeping me down so bad was my job. I worked crazy hours. I've talked about this a lot too, so I'm just going to keep this part short. I worked some crazy hours, switching back and forth between nights and days, and that was not good for me at all. It was affecting not only my mental health, it was affecting my physical health. Like, serious, like my physical, there's weird things going on with my body that have since improved a little bit since I switched jobs, and I'm now working human hours, and I can only attribute it to working that job that was making me physically ill as well as mentally ill. So I switched jobs. Now it was a huge financial setback, but I have been able to remain somewhat even. My credit has probably taken a huge hit, but I've been much more at ease and peaceful since making this change, and I know now that it was the right decision to make. And 2024 financially hopefully will be better than 2023 was, especially the last part of 2023. But switching jobs was seriously in need, and it's helped many areas in my life, including my channel here, because I now have the opportunity to create more videos, and I also appear to have the opportunity to read more books. I noticed since switching jobs, not working 12-hour shifts, not switching back and forth between nights and days, I have been reading more. Like when I've been doing my From the Hip recent reads episodes, I've noticed that I've been doing them more frequently since I switched jobs, and each one of those videos for the previous month, I read like anywhere between 6 to 9 books. That's a lot for me. It's not a lot for some people, but for me that's a lot, and I want to keep doing that. I do read a lot of novellas because I prefer novellas, especially horror novellas. That would probably change a lot. I don't know how people can read 10 books when they're reading everything that's over like 500 pages long. I'm not criticizing people who can do that at all. I admire people who are able to do that. I wish I could do that, but maybe one day soon, if I start reading more and more. I have found that something interesting happened. I'll try to keep this short because I don't want to just go on and on and on about how horrible my previous job was. But I stopped reading physical books about 2 years ago. And it was because of my job, because we weren't allowed to read at work, but you're there for 12 freaking hours, you know? So it was almost pointless to read a book while you're on your lunch, because your lunch is only like a half hour long. I mean, technically you get an hour altogether, but I never really took it. I only took a half hour, and a good 15 minutes of that was eating, so there was absolutely no point to bring a book with me. The new job I have, I can bring a book with me, and I do sometimes, but I have more time at home to read every day. And so when I was at that job, I tried reading books on my cell phone, like with the Kindle app, and that's how I got books done. That's how I finished reading with my eyes. Otherwise, it was all audiobooks. Now, however, I've started reading physical books again, and I've noticed that the actual act of reading a physical book is like a mood booster. It makes me happier, and I don't entirely know why that is. It doesn't always work, I guess, but sometimes when I've been reading a physical book for, just say, a half hour to 45 minutes, afterwards I just feel happier. When reading ebooks, it didn't matter what mood I was in, unless the book was really, really good. It would like boost my mood. Oh, okay, I'm talking about, like, I read this physical book here, Ronald Malfi. You can't get much more depressing than this book is, but I would feel happy after reading it. And I think it's not the content that's making me happy. It was just the physical act of holding a book and looking at the pages and the words printed on the pages. It was just, it just does something to your brain that staring at a screen can't do, and I don't understand why that is. So I've been reading a lot more, seemingly, and listening to audiobooks a lot more, because I can listen to audiobooks while I'm at work a lot more. So I've been boosting up the hours on that, and I can't keep up with with my credits. Like, I used to be able to buy 3 extra credits, but I haven't been able to in recent times. I might be able to start doing that again in the new year. I'm hoping to, because I've been going through audiobooks like crazy. But I'm also, one of my goals actually is to go through, a lot of these books that are behind me here and read them, because I have a ton of unread books that I need to get to. But I'm going to get to that in a minute. I just want to finish this part of 2023 in a review by saying that 2024, I'm excited to see what I can accomplish. And that's what we're going to get into now, because of all these changes. And yeah, I broke my hope here. I started to ramble. But you know what? I like rambling, so I guess that's... And a lot of people who come here, they like my ramblings as well. So let's go up to the second category here, and that's reading plans. My reading plans for 2024, I want to change things up a bit. As I just mentioned, I want to read more physical books, because it brings me a lot more joy than I had ever noticed before. So I want to read, I also want to read more new releases. I used to stick to, like backlogs, authors' backlogs, or their past publications. I can't remember the exact term right now. And I want to do that as time and money permits, but I have a list of books now. Stay tuned for that video. I do have a bunch of books. 2024 is going to be a great year for horror releases, and I'm going to make a video, at least I plan to, within the next week, of all the 2024 releases, horror releases, that I'm most looking forward to. It's going to be a great year, like I said, and I have some plans in regards to that. I'm going to expand on these plans as I go through that list. And so definitely want to read more 2024 releases as they come out. And also another reason for that is I just like being part of the conversation. When a new book comes out and everyone's like going on about how good it is, I often felt like I wasn't a part of it, and that was because I wasn't reading the same books for many various reasons, some of which I've already explained. And so, yeah, definitely want to read new releases. Not all of them, of course, because that would be a lot, but all of my favorite ones and the ones I'm looking forward to. Next up here in reading plans, I want to fill in the gaps of my Stephen King reading. Now, I've read a lot of Stephen King books, but I haven't read them all, and I don't know if I'll ever read them all. But there's a lot of gaps, and I've already started doing this. Like for example, I never read Christine, but I read Christine recently, and I'm glad I did because it was a huge gap in his early works. I still need to read Carrie, so Carrie is going to be on this list. I want to read Carrie, and recently I read I've been reading the Mr. Mercedes trilogy, and I want to read the extension books on that, The Outsider and Holly, and just those books alone would be an incredible catch up. And I'm thinking of starting The Dark Tower again because I was never a big fan of The Dark Tower. I made it to book 3, and I started to read book 4, and I just ended up DNFing it. I don't know why. I'm in a different headspace now than the last time I tried reading them. Not that I'm like in a better mood or anything, but I think I think maybe I'm less snobbish. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know. I'm gonna have to see again. Like book 2, I think it was, or maybe it was book 3 of the Dark Tower series really put me off, and I just didn't like it at that point. So I don't know. I'm gonna give it another try. I would really love to finish that series. And I think I'm gonna do it on audiobook. I'm not sure, but I wanna finish the Dark Tower series. I want to start it over, and I want to finish it. So I want to fill in my Stephen King gaps, and like I said, there's a fair amount throughout his history of publishing, mostly in the newer parts. Honestly, I really love Stephen King's older works, and I'm a big fan of his newer works too. So I want to fill it in, not necessarily be a Stephen King completist, although maybe in the next couple of years for sure. All right, next up, I want to read Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This is a book I keep hearing about, and so I need to add this to my 2024 TBR. And I want to continue reading the Indian Lake trilogy by Stephen Graham Jones. He's coming out with the 3rd book of this in 2024, and I've only read the first one, My Heart is a Chainsaw, and recently I was at the bookstore and I got Don't Fear the Reaper, book 2, so I want to read part 1 again, and then I want to read part 2, and then I'm going to move on to part 3, hopefully all before part 3 comes out. And so I want to have that completed by the end of 2024. And lastly, but certainly not least, I want to participate in more reading events. One reason why I stopped doing them, because of the factory job, I couldn't keep up. I was not reading enough, and now I think I might be able to handle it. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm not going to take part in every single reading event that comes up, but I tested myself at the end of 2023, even in the beginning there with the Week of Weird. Week of Weird went twice last year, in the spring and in the fall, and then the month of Cryptid, or the reading Cryptid readathon in November, and I did really well on all of those. So any reading event that comes along that sounds interesting to me, I'm gonna maybe hop on and see what happens. Alright, next up I have my channel plans. Now, I've already been experimenting with this, but I hope to with this first point, but I'm hoping to up it a little bit, and maybe be a little bit more strict on myself. But I want to do 2 videos per week, and I'm thinking Mondays and Fridays, but I might switch that up a little bit. Who knows? I just like having that format. Sometimes you just run out of ideas too, and so I need to brainstorm a little bit better. But 2 videos per week, as long as time permits. I don't want to push myself too hard. I don't want to completely burn out or anything. I do want to keep it fun as well. I mean, that's the most important part in making booktube videos, is keeping it fun. And so I'm going to try to keep this as fun as possible. If it's not fun anymore, I might back up just a bit, just to give myself a break. But, and anyone here, especially other booktubers, know exactly what I mean about that. I want to continue interviewing writers, but I want to break out from that sort of circle. I want to keep talking to them, you know, like Mark Allen Gunnels, Daniel Brahm, and Nicholas Kaufman. I love talking to those guys, and I plan to continue talking to them, but I want to step outside that little circle for a little bit and expand the horizons. I want to talk to bigger writers if I can. Not that they're not big, but I want to, and I still want to continue talking to indie writers as well, but I want to make it a goal to talk to more traditionally published authors. Not that there's anything better, I just want to be able to go into that field as well. And so I'm hoping to be able to do that. And also, I want to get my book club and my Discord more active. The book club's pretty good. I got, some people who contribute all the time there, and thank you to everyone who does. But the Discord it's actually gone up a little bit in popularity, but I would like to get the Discord a little more active than it is, and maybe get more discussion moving along in that. So one thing I can do in order to do that is to talk about my Discord a little more often. So check down there in the show notes and see if the link for the Discord invite is there. If it's not, just don't be afraid to shoot me a reminder. And that's it for the channel plans. I think that's a fair amount. I'm hoping that by 2025 I can be a machine, but not a machine that's working so hard it's gonna break down. But yeah, a better machine than what I've been since the last 2 or 3 years. Things were kind of starting to wind down a little bit, honestly, and I want to wind them back up and to get better. And finally here, some writing plans. Now, I've already kind of done some of this, but they're not released yet. But I want to release a chapbook of poems and flash fiction. I've had this written and almost ready to go since September. So the reason why I've been sitting on it is because, I've been having some printing issues. Let's just leave it at that. And once I get those solved, I want to release this chapbook on an Etsy shop. And I also want to release a chapbook collection of 4 short stories, newer short stories, and they're all going to be themed. And they are going to be cryptid related. I'll let you know. I'll give you that small hint. And I'm going to let you know when that's ready. I hope that I'm not just blowing smoke out my arsehole because, sometimes the writing gets held up the most. It used to be 10 years ago, writing trumped everything except for maybe family and friends. Now, like booktube and reading and all that stuff trumps the writing. So I got to make writing a bit more of a priority. But I am almost done that chapbook. I'm working on the 4th short story that I want done for this thing. And so once I get that complete, it'll be editing, and then it should be pretty ready to go. It's going to be fairly short, about 100 or less pages. So, and also one thing I want to add is I want to start writing a novella of my own. I have written a novel, but it's out of print right now, and I don't know if I want to re-release it now. I've been thinking about some of the things that happened in that book, and I just don't know if it's good for this this current world. I was a different and very angry person when I wrote that book, though, and I wanted to experiment with certain things. But that's not. I might really re-release that. I might not, but I want to start writing some new fiction, and I want to release that. And that, of course, if I do write a novella, it probably won't be out until 2025. So I'm hoping that the writing end of things goes a little more smoothly than they have been, and they have improved a lot over the last 3 months. So we shall see. All right, thank you for watching, and thank you for sticking around this long. If you have stayed this long, leave me some celebration things like balloons or those little explosions or bells. Looks like bells raining confetti. Leave me some of those in the darkness down there, and I shall send you some of those in return. Thank you for watching. Keep being creative, my weird friends. And most importantly, keep being safe, and I'll catch you guys in the next bookish video.